So I've tried every pair of AirPods on the market, and in this video, I want to tell you a little bit about the differences between them because even though they all look like little white rectangles, there are some massive differences under the hood with these earbuds. Completely different chips that give you completely different features, and that could make a huge difference. So if you're looking to buy some AirPods, consider this an ultimate buyer's guide of sorts. And so I want to talk a lot more and actually do some tests in this video as well, show you the microphone quality, talk about the sound quality, and like I said, all of the features and specs that you might need to know when considering buying these. So I've been using all of these basically since they all came out, and the four options we have right here, the oldest one are the AirPods 2. These look just like the original AirPods. They were a slight upgrade in some sense, but of course you're getting a tall, skinny case, very long stem on the earbuds, no silicone tip. They kind of just sit in your ears, and these are selling for $130. So you might find a sale other places for a little bit less, maybe as low as $100, but generally in that range, these are going to be the cheapest on this list. And then the sequel to the AirPods 2, the AirPods 3, are actually a pretty big upgrade here. The geometry looks completely different, even though, again, they have that open design, no silicone tip on these, which means no active noise cancellation, but you are getting a lot of cool features on here that you don't have on the AirPods 2. And these are only $40 more expensive, coming in at $169. And again, the case here kind of looks like what you'd expect. It's halfway between the AirPods 2 and the AirPods Pro. Now the AirPods Pro, this is technically the third version of the AirPods Pro that came out. Apple's still just calling them the AirPods Pro. These have USB Type-C to charge them on the bottom, so that's how you know they're the newest one. And these are selling for $249. They, of course, have that silicone ear tip on them, so they have more of a tight seal in your ears, and with that, you're getting a very different experience. Active noise cancellation, transparency mode, and a lot of other features that are very, very unique to these earbuds, and some of these features are very new that Apple kind of snuck out just last month. And then the fourth option, you might have seen it back here, the Apple AirPods Max. Even though these are not in-ear earbuds, I still wanted to include them because for one, they are AirPods, and two, these are definitely a viable option that some people really might choose. In fact, these are actually gaining a lot of popularity, and every time I walk around New York, I see everybody, like literally everybody I look at, I swear is wearing AirPods Max, which is crazy because these are $549, so they're not a cheap pair of headphones by any means. Okay, so before I talk about some of the features and the test results, let's take a closer look at the design with these. They all charge with lightning cable, so Apple's old cable that they don't really use as much anymore, except for the new AirPods Pro. These charge with USB Type-C, and in addition to that, they also charge in several other ways. So they charge with Qi wireless charging on the back. They also charge with MagSafe. So if you put them on like a MagSafe stand, they will just kind of stay there. They'll stick to that. The AirPods 3 have the same charging. So they also have magnetic charging on the back with MagSafe. And of course, they do have wireless charging. But like I said, lightning port on here. And then the AirPods 2 don't have MagSafe. They just have regular wireless charging on any other wireless charging pad. And of course, lightning. But unfortunately, you don't have any kind of MagSafe or wireless charging or anything like that on the Apple AirPods Max. These only have lightning. I expect maybe we'll see a USB Type-C model coming out, hopefully kind of soon, but for now, that's the only way you can charge them. I mentioned the open design versus the closed design, so kind of ranking these in my order of which ones fit the best, and by fit, I mean which ones stay on my head or in my ears the best when I'm, for example, doing a workout. For me, in first place is actually the Apple AirPods 3. These kind of sit in my ears well, and because they don't have a silicone tip, they don't like push themselves out of my ear. It sounds very strange, and it's not going to be that case for everybody. Like for me, these stay in really well. I could move around a lot. I could do burpees or push-ups or whatever, and they never seem to fall out of my ears. Kind of tied with them are the AirPods 2. These have a really similar feature where they kind of just stick into your ears, but they don't have that silicone tip, so for me, they stay in better. And then in third place, we have the AirPods Pro, which I know is very debatable. Some people would put these at first, but for me, they stick in, so like my right ear, it's great. They stay in perfectly fine. But my left ear, they do tend to work their way out, especially if I'm talking or moving my jaw at all. Like it kind of wiggles its way out, so they're not as secure for me. Of course, you could always get foam tips on these or many other tips that you could, little wing tips you can buy as a third-party attachment for these, and that'll easily put them at number one. And then in last place here, the AirPods Max stay on very well in like a studio environment. If I'm walking, even if I'm running, they stay on well. But if I'm doing something more dynamic like push-ups or burpees like these, like check this out. You just shake your head and they fall off. So it's really no surprise they're not going to be the best for that. But I'm distinguishing fit from comfort, where comfort I'm defining as which ones can I wear for the longest amount of time with the least amount of discomfort. And so for me, the AirPods 3, again, really win in that category. They sit in, they're extremely light, and because they don't close off my ear, it's easy to forget they're even in my ears, and I can wear them for a really long time. The only downside of the AirPods 2 in comparison to the 3 is that I find the plastic kind of is a little bit more like aggressive against my ears. So I do get slightly more fatigue from the AirPods 2 compared to the AirPods 3. That's why I put the 2 in second place here. In third place are the AirPods Pro. Super comfortable at first, but again, you kind of have a little bit more of a closed off feeling, even though they do have vents on the inside, which definitely is a big advantage, big help compared to most other ANC earbuds. But still, it's hard to compete against the 2 and the 3, which is like a gentle open design. And then in fourth place are the AirPods Max. So surprised that these came in fourth place twice here. Really the difference is they're just larger and heavier, and there is like a clamping force on your head. When I wear these for maybe an hour or less, they're extremely comfortable. It's really just once you get to like the third hour that you start to really feel like your ears are really being pressed a little bit more. That's true with basically any over-ear headphones. They're all extremely comfortable, to be clear. Some other differences when you're actually wearing these, the AirPods Max and the AirPods 2 both have the lower quality optical sensor to detect when they're in your ears or on your head, whereas the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Pro have a skin detection sensor, which means if I take my AirPods 2 out and set them on a table, it's gonna say, hey, something's in front of me, start playing music. Whereas if I take out the AirPods 3 or the Pros and I set them on a table, they're gonna know that's not skin, don't play music. Moving along to the controls, again, I'm having these kind of ranked in order of which ones I think are the best controls. The AirPods Pro absolutely crush it here. They have pinch controls, so you can single, double, triple pinch, or pinch and hold on the side, on the stem, or you can also swipe up and down, and that will work as a volume control, which is really a big advantage because you do have that nice flat spot there. It makes it easy to change the volume on these earbuds. Then we have the AirPods 3, which have the same controls as the Pros, except they don't have the swipe feature, which is still pretty solid, especially compared to a lot of other earbuds that have touch pads. Because if you're wearing gloves, if your hands are wet or whatever, then pinch controls are always going to work. They're very, very reliable. Then we have the AirPods Max in third place. These have a button on the top and this really satisfying rotating crown. It feels like the Apple Watch crown. It's also a button as well. And so you can control the AirPods Max with that. Super easy to do. It just takes it's a little bit of a learning curve to figure out what the controls actually do. But once you have them, super convenient. And then in last place, we have the AirPods 2. These only have a double tap feature. You tap the top of the stem. It's very rudimentary they're an older pair of earbuds, so I guess that's all we really had back then. Although the AirPods Max are really a nice, impressive pair of headphones, I've always really hated the lack of a power button and kind of the general setup they have with this weird little case here. So the only way to turn them on or off, start off with turning them off, is to put them into this little case, and then you close it, and usually it turns off. Like it kind of knows that it's gonna be in the case and it turns off. And then to turn them on, you take them out, you open them, and you put them on your head. But it doesn't always work perfectly. Sometimes I'm like ready to get a Zoom call on my iMac, I take these out, put them on my head, and it didn't connect. I have to like put them back in the case and do that again. But a big advantage, however, of the AirPods Max, and the reason I use them for Zoom calls is because that microphone. So let's actually get into a microphone test. All right, so these are the AirPods 3, of course, because they don't have silicone tips, I can hear everything I'm saying very naturally. It doesn't feel like I have something in my ears, but let me know what the microphone sounds like. Honestly, being AirPods, I've tested these before. I know they're pretty good, but we'll see how they compare to the others on this table. All right, now these are the Apple AirPods 2, second generation AirPods. Let me know what you think of these indoors in this studio environment. Now these are the Apple AirPods Pro, the latest version, the 2.5 if you want to call it that. So let me know what you think of these as far as the microphone quality is concerned. I can hear my voice very well, even though these do plug my ears and have a lot of passive noise blocking. Because we have transparency mode on these, it sounds pretty natural, but let me know what you think of the microphones. All right, now the AirPods Max. These, like I can't stress it enough, they just sound so good when you're wearing them. Like the transparency mode is incredible. It feels like I'm not wearing anything in my head at all. But obviously the microphones are not just for transparency mode. I think in video calls or any other call like this, I think these sound fantastic. But let me know what you think of these. All right, so perhaps that's a little too easy inside. Now let's go outside. I'm here by a busy road, so let me know how this sounds to you. The microphones obviously should be cutting out everything behind me, but we'll see how well they actually do with this sound behind me. All right, so now the AirPods 3, again with a lot of traffic, maybe even more traffic behind me right now, but let me know how this sounds. Now the oldest of them, the AirPods 2, with this microphone, see how this does in a loud environment as well. And of course the Apple AirPods Pro, I think, there we go, some pretty loud sound behind me with the bus there, but let me know which of these four actually sounds the best to you. And now speaking of advantages with the AirPods Max, a huge one here is going to be the sound quality, and kind of going through these different products in order of what I like for sound quality. The AirPods Max are absolutely going to be number one. They just have really capable drivers that give you plenty of bass and yet a smooth, detailed balance across the entire spectrum. So you're getting a lot of detail, plenty of instrument separation, and even though they don't have a super high resolution codec, they're still among the best sounding Bluetooth headphones on the market. So it is very impressive what Apple is able to do with that AAC codec on there. And I mean, like I said, listening to these extremely, they just sound very, very natural. Then we have the AirPods Pro, which are just very slightly behind the AirPods Max. You still get a lot of bass on these, not as much, but they sound, again, very natural, very realistic, somewhat articulate as well, so you are still getting some pretty decent details on here. A little bit more of an emphasis on the highs, so again, a little bit more perceived clarity there. And because you have the silicone tips, it really isolates the sound well and is better able to replicate what the studio sound actually would have been like. Then we have the AirPods 3, which do have more bass than the AirPods 2, but because they're both open designs, you don't have quite as much isolation, so the music's not going to have nearly as much bass. It's not going to be as focused as it would be on the two more expensive models here. So that's my ranking there. The 3 and then the 2 are in last place, but the 2s are still decent. They still sound pretty good. By no means would I say they're trash. They're just not really the best out there. And now as far as noise blocking goes, as far as noise cancellation goes, of course the 2 and the 3 have none of that, so you're not gonna block out any sounds at all. You'll hear everything, which means if you're on a train, you end up turning up your volume a lot more, which is not especially good for your ears. But I do this test, and I'll show you the Max and the Pros. Essentially, I play the sound of a jet at a set distance away, and I keep turning that volume up until the AirPods are no longer able to block it out. Then I measure the volume, and that tells me how strong the active noise cancellation is. So as you can see right here, they both did a really impressive job. They're definitely both among the best in the industry, but it is just going to be a subtle difference with which one you choose. But if you're not trying to block out everything around you, transparency is going to be a really solid feature. It's something I use almost all the time, and so the 2 and the 3 already basically have this by default. They don't block any sound, so they don't have a transparency mode. You just already hear your surroundings. But the Pros and the Max both use the microphones to play back the sound that you hear around you through the ears or through the speakers, and it gives you a really natural feel. It feels like nothing's actually in your ears. But for these, the AirPods Max definitely do a better job. They sound so natural. It feels like nothing is on my ears at all. I can hear everything from every direction. I haven't really seen any other brand do quite as well as Apple with that transparency mode. But the AirPods Pro also do a good job, just not quite as good as the Max. But now let's talk a little bit more about durability, water resistance, and longevity of these. I would say in first place here are the AirPods Pro. These have IP54 water and dust resistance on both the earbuds and the case, which is great. And another advantage is that they do have several ways you can find the case. So if you lose the case, you'll be able to use a speaker on the bottom and find my on your iPhone and play a sound so you can track it down. Secondly, they have ultra wideband, so just like an AirTag, you can find this if it's near somebody else's iPhone or in your own, you can use your own iPhone, it kind of follow it around, it points an arrow, and you can find your AirPods like that. So for longevity, these definitely crush it in that sense. Then we have the AirPods 3, which have IPX4 water resistance, no dust resistance, so not quite as good in that sense. Then in third place, I would say the AirPods 2, which have no resistance of any kind, no dust or water resistance rating. But the reason I'm putting the AirPods Max in last place is because the only protection you really have is this little case, which doesn't actually protect the top. So the mesh could really take on some damage if it gets pushed around a lot, which for me, you can see kind of, these are 2 years old, but they still have it's kind of dented a little bit. They've seen better days. So longevity is not the best on there. You can replace the cups though really easily. They just snap on magnetically. So that's a big positive. And these all have a really similar battery life, I would say, but the AirPods 3 definitely come in first place with 6 hours in the earbuds and 30 hours when you include the case. The AirPods Pro are 6 and 30 as well, but that's with ANC off. And I'm assuming if you buy the AirPods Pro, like I did, then you would probably want to use ANC. And so that brings it down to 5 hours in the earbuds and 25 hours with the case, which is still definitely pretty good. The AirPods 2 give you 5 hours in the earbuds, 24 hours when you include the case, and the AirPods Max just give you 20 hours. Obviously, no recharge in the case, but 20 hours, you know, it's definitely good enough. I was kind of hoping for a little bit of a better battery life with how big these are, but hey, you know what? I'd rather them not be too heavy with a large battery. But this is important. One thing that I always talk about is one of the main decision makers that I look at when comparing earbuds or headphones is going to be the features, the cool features that they have. And all of these do have a lot of the basics like seamless switching, one-tap setup, audio sharing, and Siri, of course, all of those on like iPhones and Apple products. And that's all great. Like audio sharing, for anyone who doesn't know, means you can listen to 2 pairs of AirPods on the same iPhone. So if you're hanging out with a friend, you could both watch it on one device. The seamless switching, though, however, I want to say is going to be slightly faster on the new AirPods Pro. And the AirPods Pro actually have a lot of other unique features because they do have the new H2 chip, while all the others have just the H1 chip. And so that's giving us a lot of big advantages here. For one, we're getting adaptive audio. 2, we're getting conversation awareness, which means when I just start talking, it'll turn my music down, it'll turn on transparency mode, I can hear a quick conversation with somebody, and the longer I talk, the longer it takes to kind of ease back into my music. So if I just say hi to somebody, music turns on real quickly after that. If I have a 1-minute conversation, it'll wait, it'll give me like 10, 15 seconds, and then it'll turn the music back on. If you're impatient though, you just swipe up, it'll turn the music right back on immediately. The AirPods Pro also have lossless audio capabilities. Sort of. Like, it doesn't work with the iPhone right now, but it will be working with the Apple Vision Pro. So that's going to be a big advantage if you plan on dropping $3,500 on the VR headset next year. But hey, you know what? It's important that you know that these have that. The AirPods Pro also have, like I said, ultra wideband, so you can find it with precise locating features. And for what it's worth, they also have that little lanyard hook on the case. So if you want to hang this on something, you could totally do that. The other ones don't have that. But it doesn't end there. They also have Bluetooth 5.3, while the other 3 have Bluetooth 5.0, which means the AirPods Pro have a much better range and much better data transfer, obviously being a newer version of Bluetooth. Again, like, this list is so extensive. The AirPods Pro have a lot of cool features the others just don't have. And the last one I wanted to kind of highlight here is Conversation Boost, which is a cool accessibility feature. They all have a lot of cool accessibility features, but this is one that if anybody is hard of hearing, they can use this basically as like a makeshift hearing aid. Like, it'll amplify conversations around you without amplifying everything. Oh, and that kind of reminds me, the transparency mode on this also has a really cool feature where there's like a limiter. So anything over about, I think it's like 75 decibels, it won't blast it in your ears. So if you're like having transparency mode on these, walking down the street, and then like a bus just comes cruising by or some really loud car, it's not going to damage your ears. It's going to play that back much, much quieter, so it feels more natural and comfortable. Now, the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Max have a lot of the same features, so it kind of makes sense to highlight what all of these have except the AirPods 2. So the AirPods 2 don't have spatial audio. I don't really care about spatial audio. I never use it anyway, but if you want it, don't get the AirPods 2. And the AirPods 2 also don't have adaptive EQ. So none of these have the ability to really equalize it in an app, but adaptive EQ kind of does that for you, unless you have the AirPods 2, in which case you get what you get. All right, so overall, what's the best one to get? What's my conclusion? I promise it's cut and dried. I don't like to say like, oh, they're all good. It depends on what you like, because I don't think that is going to really help you. I want to give you a definite answer and I put you in like a specific bin and say, if you are this person, buy these. So going through these, if you're on a tight budget, you're probably tempted to buy the AirPods 2. Don't do it. In my opinion, they're way overpriced and they're very outdated. They're a nice pair of earbuds, and if you have them, you're not going to regret them. But for the money, you can buy other earbuds out there that are substantially better. For example, the Soundcore Liberty 4 NC earbuds are a lot more like the AirPods Pro, but they're selling for less than the AirPods 2. These are selling for about $80 compared to $130 for the AirPods 2. You're getting a lot of other features, and I have a full video explaining what these are. But otherwise, if you want in-ear earbuds, the AirPods Pro are really my go-to for most people. They're the best balance, in my opinion, of price versus features. They also have the best features out of all of these earbuds and headphones on this table here. For most people, these are going to be the best. They're really, really good. They're so impressive, and in my opinion, far and away the best out of this group. They also have incredible active noise cancellation, great sound quality, industry-leading microphones, industry-leading transparency mode, and they are very future-proof with that USB Type-C, the many different ways of charging, the great durability, the water resistance. Like these, Apple obviously puts most of their effort into the AirPods Pro, and it really shows. They're a solid pair of earbuds. So that's my main recommendation. But some people don't like the silicone ear tips, and if that's the case, the AirPods 3 are the best earbuds on the entire market that don't have silicone ear tips. Nothing on the market offers what the AirPods 3 offer without having like a silicone ear tip that goes into your ears. And then lastly, the AirPods Max. They're great, but in my opinion, they're overpriced. And unless you're buying them for style, in which case you probably wouldn't be watching this entire video, I suspect there's going to be an updated version of these in the next year, and I probably wouldn't buy these right now. Of course, if you did, I don't think you'll regret it. Like, they're not bad, but I just think now is not the best time to buy them. And if you really need headphones right now, I would recommend looking at the Sony WF-1000X Mark V headphones. They're half the price. In many ways, they're better. And I mean, it's hard to recommend this 2-year-old pair of headphones that is lacking a lot of the features we're seeing already on the AirPods Pro. It's gonna be outdated pretty quickly. All right, so that's my ultimate buyer's guide. I'm Mike. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.